Hey everybody, underwriting your multifamily deal and getting to the proforma should really be a 5-minute exercise. And in today's video, I'm going to show you precisely how to do that. My name is Anton Zajac. I'm with IntellCRE, and we've underwritten thousands of deals ourselves. And basically, here we're trying to drill down on what are the most important points and how you can be extremely efficient with this process, so you never spend hours underwriting a deal that's obviously not going to work, or even worse, spend hours underwriting a deal that you find it would be very profitable, and once you submit an offer, you find out that there's other offers that were submitted before yours, and you never get to sit behind a table and have a chance of acquiring this great property. So what are we going to need in order to create a multifamily pro forma in under 5 minutes? We're gonna need the basic deal data, such as the unit mix, obviously the address of the property, and some other information about the property, like year built. Then we're gonna need our in-place income and expense figures. So basically, the current rents at the property. As well as the current vacancy, and then also the current expenses at the property, including taxes. Now, the other piece of data that we need, if we have some sort of loan quote or a proposed financing for the deal, what do those terms look like? So interest rate, LTV, perhaps some loan fees, etc. One before the last piece of data, we need some market level data, such as we need to find out what the pro forma income, so what the pro forma rents are going to be, and for that we're going to need rent comparables. Then we want to make sure that we have a way of saying what the pro forma expenses are going to be at this property, and of course some holistic market level data, such as what is the pro forma vacancy, what's the pro forma rent growth rate, what's the appreciation, and of course in order to price the deal, ultimately we need to look at sales comparables or similar properties that were sold in that market, that have similar characteristics to our deal. And finally, our target returns, or basically what would we consider to be a good deal. So it could be some basic numbers like cap rates or cash on cash that multifamily investors use, but it could also be some more advanced return metrics, such as IRR, or internal rate of return, or equity multiple, or return on investment, and so on. So let's get right into it, and let's actually use our proprietary a tool that you can use for free, IntellCRE, which is designed to help you build multifamily pro forma in a few simple steps and under 5 minutes every time. So let's go right into it. Welcome back. As I promised, we're going to build a multifamily pro forma here together in less than 5 minutes. We're going to use the IntellCRE platform, as it is the perfect tool designed to do precisely that. We're going to start with our basic deal data, such as the address. We might know the year built and some other property characteristics. So after we have the property address, we go to advanced analysis, and now we're giving a prompt to upload some of the documents, because if you remember, we discussed that some of the basic data that we need would be our current rental income, so our current income, in-place income at the property, our current expenses at the property, and then we'll look at the pro forma values for the income and the pro forma expenses, and then we'll be close to finishing our pro forma. So usually the data about the unit mix at the property and about the current rents or in-place rents are packaged in a document called the rent roll. Here we do have the ability to upload the entire rent roll, but if we hadn't had a document like that, we can also manually type in the data. Now for the current expenses, we might upload a document. Usually current expenses might be packaged in a document called the T12, or trailing 12-month statement, or profit and loss statement. So we have the option to upload such document in the expenses here, and this is just going to help us speed up the process. So here I'm going to continue. And let's look at this deal. So we already have the basic deal data, such as we have 10 units, 6 1-bedroom, 4 2-bedroom, property class, and some other information. And now we look at our income. So from the uploaded rent roll document, we see all our current rents, and we see our entire unit mix here. So we have our rental income. In order to look at the pro forma or potential rental income at this property, we want to look at the rent comps. So here in the platform, we can just click a button and look at what some similar properties in the neighborhood have in terms of their rent. And so this will help us determine the pro forma rental income, or the pro forma rental revenue. So of course, having a a look at these rent comps, picking the best ones that represent a very similar property to our subject property. We're already looking at the proforma rent for these units, for the 1 bedroom and for the 2 bedroom units. And so together, this gives us our potential or proforma rent at the property. We also want to look at some market level data, such as how do we see the proforma rent growing in the years to come. So we have some assumptions around the proforma rent growth rate and also some assumptions around the vacancy. So for this, we would have to do thorough market research to see what the vacancy has been, and then forecast what the vacancy or the proforma vacancy we're forecasting will be in the years to come. And so here we have those assumptions, and of course we're pulling live market data in order to help us speed up this process and work with accurate numbers. Now for the expenses that we uploaded, all our expenses, including taxes, including management, maintenance, utilities, have been pulled here in this form. And so as you can see, these are our current values for the expenses. And then for the pro forma values, usually we can use the same as the current, or in some cases, we might actually look at whether these numbers can be lower or higher, especially with taxes, for instance. There's some assessed property value that's been used for taxes last year. And now the question is, what is the assessed value going to be once we buy the deal, right? So there is an option to do that. And then, of course, we forecast that the expenses are going to grow at a certain growth rate, which is usually copying the inflation. So that's where we are. We've situated our income, we've situated our expenses, and now let's look at another market level data, which is the sales comps, in order to help us determine the pricing for this deal. So the platform also automatically does that. So it gives us a nice sale comp set. And based on that sale comp set, we're already looking at a price range for this deal. So this should be part of the proforma or part of the underwriting, figuring out how much the deal should cost. So this is where we are with the pricing. So there you have it. We priced the deal in under 3 minutes or so. Now, some of the other data that we might want to use for building a proforma is whether we have a loan quote or we have some sort of proposed financing for the deal. We can do that right here by enabling the acquisition financing. And of course, what is the interest rate? What's the amortization? What's the loan term? What are the loan origination fees? Is there an interest-only period? And things like that. So all of that can be factored in right here. And of course, the LTV. Do we have an LTV number that we were quoted? If not, then most lenders will want to see the debt coverage ratio of at least 1.25 and higher. So in this case, we're automatically calculating the maximal LTV, in this case around 50%, that would work for a traditional lender. So now that we have the financing, we have everything. So it's time to create the proforma. So again, basic deal data, then we had the income current, and then proforma, for which we use rent comps to calculate what the proforma rents would be. And then we had our expenses current versus proforma. And then we had our pricing of the deal, for which we use sales comps. So similar properties in the market that were sold recently. And now we're looking at the result or at the proforma already. So of course we have our financials all reported here. Detailed cash flow, though, for the proforma, we only need the cash flow for the proforma or year one. So we have all of that right here. And of course, the last piece of the proforma puzzle, if you wish, is to know what our investment goals are, or what the minimal returns are for us. So could be a cap rate, could be a proforma cap rate that we're looking for. So all the return metrics are here up top. Could be our cash on cash. So depending on how long do we want to hold this project for? So are we thinking of holding this property for 5 years and then selling the property, or 10 years, or are we doing something else, maybe refinancing, or maybe doing a 1031 a few years down the road into some bigger property? So all of that is basically part of our strategy, and given the minimal return metrics that we have in mind, we can see whether this deal is actually passing that filter, and whether it's something that we want to spend some more time on. But building the proforma in under 5 minutes is what we've done here. In fact, we've done much more, because we have the detailed cash flow for this deal 10 years out, and of course some other important information. And we go beyond the basic return metrics such as the cap rate or the cash on cash. For those of you that look for the IRR or internal rate of return, or for equity multiples or return on investment or return on equity, we've calculated those as well. So I hope this was helpful, and see you in the next video.